I have been very defensive of Robert Mueller from day one, even up until as recently as a week ago. But he hired some people that have terrible bias, and he didn't have to. There are plenty of women and men who don't contribute to political campaigns. There are plenty of prosecutors he could have hired. So at some point, Bob Mueller is going to have to explain, how did he vet these prosecutors and agents? How did these folks slip by? Because what's going to happen, Martha, is if he decides to do something to the Trump campaign or prosecute President Trump, Republicans have a built-in argument for bias, that the fix was in from day one.
Congressman Trey Gowdy calling out conflicts of interest in special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia probe into President Trump. Joining me now, former FBI Assistant Director Jim Kallstrom. Jim, we love having you on the show. Here's the thing. Can FBI agents check their politics at the door? I mean, do you believe FBI agent Peter Strzok was taking active measures to stop Trump from winning and measures to help Hillary Clinton?
Yes, I do. And I've come to that conclusion after reading these text messages. Now, people send text messages, I realize that, but the depth and scope and just nasty hatred that was expressed in those messages, you know, this Lone Ranger riding to the rescue of America. I mean, nothing could be further from the truth. Obama went a long way to destroying this nation, in my view. The economy, he doubled the debt. He screwed up the military. He had the FBI become extremely politically correct. And never mind the foreign policy disasters, giving $150 billion to Iran. And here's this so-called Lone Ranger, you know, riding in to save the country. I mean, it's just outrageous. You know, I've talked to some legal minds recently here, and I think an investigation would bring a strong obstruction of justice case against him and many others. I think this is a cabal. I think it's a conspiracy. That whole thing, that dossier is BS. And if they took that to the FISA court and knew it was BS, then they're in a lot of trouble. And if they didn't know it was BS, then they're totally incompetent. But let me say something. It's not the FBI agents. You know, 99.9% of the people in the FBI are honorable, patriots, helping the United States, helping the people of this great country. And how big this cabal is, I don't know if it's 8 people or 20 people, but it's a small number, you know, and they have a number of people in the Justice Department, you know, that the wife of the guy in the Justice Department on a shortwave radio talking over there to this guy over in Great Britain. What a disgrace. This thing is an absolute fraud. You know, and the Attorney General of the United States should either resign or should do something about it.
You know, Jim, we had one text from Peter Strzok to his colleague Lisa Page in August of 2016. It reads, quote, "I want to believe the path that you threw out for consideration in Andy McCabe's office, that there's no way Trump gets elected, but I'm afraid we cannot take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you died before you're 40. And then Lisa Page also texted Peter Strzok saying, maybe you're meant to stay where you are because you're meant to protect the country from that menace, Donald Trump. And then Peter Strzok said, I can protect our country at many levels. What can an FBI official, an FBI agent do to stop a president from getting elected?
Well, I think he can do what this guy tried to do. He can fabricate things. He can make up stuff. He can lie. He can be a total moron. He can recruit others. You know, he belongs in Leavenworth, this guy, in my personal view. I don't have all the facts, but from what I know, he belongs behind bars, this guy is. You know, these things cannot happen in a democracy, particularly in the FBI. But it's not the FBI. I beg the American people, don't condemn the FBI. Condemn these people that have went way, way off the rails here, and you know, need to be dealt with severely, in my view.
Yeah, the FBI has been catching the bad guys forever. I mean, they're the federal cops who protect the system. This guy, Peter Strzok, is still in HR. And Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer, says he would like to see a nonpartisan commission to look into Mueller's team. Is that a good idea, or do you think they should shut Mueller's investigation down?
Very, very disappointed in Bob Mueller. I mean, I've known him a long, long time. I was on his advisory board for almost a whole decade. You know, and I don't know if he's a subject of the Stockholm Syndrome with President Obama or what, but he is so far out of line here with the people he hired, particularly that mad dog, the junkyard dog guy that's his deputy, that went into Paul Manafort's house at 4 o'clock in the morning and dragged the wife out of bed. What an outrage. What a disgrace. He should be charged with crimes, civil rights crimes, just for what he did there. And it's an outrage. And Mueller should have never accepted this position. I mean, it clearly says in the enabling legislation that you cannot, have a bias towards anything. Well, he's got a conflict of interest as wide and as long as the Jersey Turnpike, and so number one, he was wrong in doing it. The Deputy Attorney General was totally wrong and irresponsible in appointing him. And, the whole bunch of them, are all involved in this uranium thing. And, we need to find out what the heck that is all about.
And quickly, you're saying Robert Mueller's conflict is his friendship with James Comey. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, his friendship and the fact that he accepted this position when he wasn't qualified to accept it.
Okay.
He's a lawyer. He knows what the legislation says. He knows he has a conflict of interest as wide as any conflict of interest ever.
All right.
So, I mean, he's just out of line.
Jim,
and it's disgusting what he's doing.
Jim Kallstrom, we love having you on the show. Come back soon. And thank you for your service to our country, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Jim.
day. Bye-bye.
You too.